in a very spatial arraignment. I don't know what any of these phrases mean. So what's the thing, Max?
What is the thing? Well, the thing is the first episode of Here's the Thing, because here the fuck we are. Been talking about doing this for 100 years, and now we have finally actually pressed record, and we have moved on along down the road. Now, so this is the way that it's going to work this time. It's going to change as time goes by. That much we know for sure. Some things are going to sound different. Some sound bites will arise. Some we may use and then realize they suck and then stop using them. We'll see what happens. But my name is Max. Madd Maxxx, if you will. Maximilian Young, if you look at my identification. And to my right is Derek Barrus, also known as 50 Dead, also known as Spooky Diddlefingers, also known as 50 Funny Names, which means he's also known as many more things.
Reverend Television, what up?
Yeah, no, that's the other one. You guys are going to learn more about that, but we'll get to that at a later date. But so we also have to the left the Lord of the Loud Pack. He is the kind of the tech ninja at the moment, making sure everything works properly. Yay! It looks a little. Yeah, that was him. Looking at the waves here, trying to make sure everything's working right. So, people have told me that I should do this for a long time because I have a natural proclivity for talking for a very long time. And been doing this underground rap thing for a long time in the horrorcore scene. Some people are familiar with that. Most people have no idea what that is. Typically, they would think horrorcore has something to do with movies. But, yeah, trying to think of the best way to begin the introduction as far as, like, who I am.
Madd Maxxx, what have you been doing for the past 15 years?
The last 15 years, what year is it? It's 2021, so that means since 2006, which, I mean, I graduated high school in 2004, I believe. Yes, I did. And then I remember going to the Gathering of the Juggalos, 2004. That was, prime Diamond Rain time.
Okay, Diamond Rain time.
And so that was where I met Low Key, who some people know of him, 12 Oracles, Mission Infect, something I'm very close to and part of. In any case, that happened because I was basically, I'm a juggalo. There's truth to that since I was 13 years old. Met a kid at Hebrew school of all places who, he put me onto all different kinds of music before ICP, but he was basically like one of the first people that I met who was like up on music basically.
Okay.
He also, this was kind of in the earlier days of the internet too, so he may have been like...
What year did you say this was?
Oh God, this had to have been 95, 96.
95. And that's in New Jersey. That's where you're from, right?
Well, so yes. But so, interesting story. I have a very, very distinct, specific memory of reading one of my parents' magazines, like Vanity Fair. They used to get, Vanity Fair, Entertainment Weekly, they used to get a subscription to that. Mm-hmm. And so, I was about to say prescription, it's funny. But so they used to get that, and I remember one time reading it, and there were these dudes who basically, it was ICP, but like crazy faces and the face paint with the dreads and whatnot. And if I recall correctly, what the magazine was basically saying on this side, this is the kind of stuff that like Disney usually does. Mm-hmm. Hollywood Records, this is what they usually do. And these are the names of some of ICP's songs. And so from there it was like, oh, what's all this? But I never really knew what it was. And then some years later, meet this kid who he put me onto Korn and some other stuff, and then from there I was just kind of interested in all that different kind of music, like heavier stuff. But then he was the one specifically who introduced me to ICP, and I can remember the one main thing about it was that there was so much mystery to it, like looking at the basically saying the liner notes. somehow held a clue to what the next Joker's card was going to be. And like there was just this crazy ethos to it, and the ethos and mythos is more mythos really. Mm-hmm. But point being, it was just some crazy shit like, oh, what the fuck is this? But then I got pretty into it, but I never really understood what it really meant until I got to high school, and I met some kids at my high school who also like. They knew ICP. I don't know if they would necessarily quantify themselves as juggalos at this point. I don't even know that they would have then, because they were just like, these were people where like I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show at a movie theater with them. We did the crowd participation.
Nice.
They went to like goth night raves and shit, and like.
And this is
they went
what,
to,
like 99?
No, this was. You want to know what? Yeah, probably either 99, 2000, or 2001. Probably not 2001 because everything changed after that, but. Probably 99, 2000. I'd have to look at it, but 2000 was the first. So no, it was 2000 because December 2nd, 2000 is the first time I went to an ICP show. That was Bizarre at Hammerstein.
Almost 21 fucking years ago.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It'll be 21 years. So it was 20 years ago. So that's still crazy.
So 20
years ago, I went to my first Insane Clown Posse show where it was one that they Forever Man was there too, but.
Did you know Ron then?
No.
Shout out to Ron.
Yeah, no, that's I
Reverend.
love that kid. But no, they talk about it in Behind the Paint where I got there as the set was just ending and people were throwing shit at them, like the mixtapes that they were handing out to people.
Yeah, yeah.
But they talk about earlier in the show, in the book, where Nashville Pussy came out doing their thing and then like the crowd just like sat down like, no, we're good. Just sat down Indian style, flipped them off like, no, we're good. Yeah. But I do remember one thing about that show which helped add to the... just the mystical fucking carnival magic was after Nashville Pussy. So first of all, there was one dude up on the balcony who looked like he was part of Nashville Pussy or part of their crew or something. And then he threw a Faygo onto all of us, just one. Uh-huh. But then in between sets, Jump the Fuck Up, Corey Taylor and Soulfly.
Yeah.
That song comes on and everybody just starts moshing. And I've never seen nothing like that to this day, of being at a show and a song comes on in between sets and then suddenly everybody's like, fucking let's go.
Yeah.
Like even in the prime time of like Worcester and shit, I can remember like in between sets everybody was always just like, I don't know, because as the years went by, it was more about.
I definitely seen people get in at the Palladium during in between sets, but that specifically was when Mike Clock was spinning one time back in the day.
Right,
but
like at the show that I went to, Vampiro actually was playing bass with ICP on stage. It was so crazy.
Holy shit! What was that? The Psychopathics from Outer Space tour?
Bizarre.
Bizarre. So okay,
one of the three legs of that tour.
So 20 years ago, you seen ICP, and that was the beginning of the seeds of rapping.
Basically, would you say that's the big inspiration for ironically rap? Enough, the beginning of the seeds of rapping actually came a few years before that, where Eminem came out, and it's this crazy like, oh, this white dude's making songs. I remember in '98, dude. We all fucking. But so here's the thing: is that I can't remember what happened, but I basically ran away from home like an idiot, and ran to the roller rink where I used to hang out. There was a skate park there, and for some reason that I'll never know, Eminem's song Marshall Mathers, which again, super ironically, the song he dissed ICP by name on.
Yeah.
He's like, you might see me jogging, you might see me walking, you might see me walking a dead Rottweiler dog, whatever. I basically wrote my own version of that first verse about me running away from home. Yeah, I know, it's the corniest shit of all time.
Yo,
but that's my origin.
Fucking rap.
I was gonna say that's my origin story for sure, right there.
That's so funny, man. So Madd Maxxx came about to when you rewrote your own version of an
Eminem song, the Eminem verse that they dissed ICP. He dissed ICP by name. I always thought that was really funny.
And then you fast forward to 2004.
Well, but that's kind of where I'm getting to, is that I started rapping. Because I just always been, even ever since I was a little kid, for whatever reason, I wrote poems and I just liked to write for whatever reason. And then when I learned how to rap, as the years went by, when I would do it for people, they would be like impressed by it. Like, oh shit. And I was never the kind of person that got cool attention from people. I was never a cool kid. I was super weird, awkward, like super socially awkward as a kid. Just weird, bad habits. You know what I mean? Like, in any case, That's why, from my youth, there are some people that I remember like negatively, but for the most part, I don't blame the kids that I went to school with for not really being friends with me because I was a fucking weird kid.
Yeah.
But basically, when I got in trouble at school after Columbine happened, basically everybody in the neighborhood was like, "Oh, he's gonna be the one." Don't you feel like we're going to be able to hear that? Don't you feel like we're going to be able to hear that on the microphone, man?
I didn't want,
like you're eating. Like, come on, man.
I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to say anything.
I didn't.
But yeah. Hold on. What do we even bring it back? All right, let's take it from here.
All right. Well, no, I'm trying to remember exactly what was. Well, no. So basically, when Columbine happened, I had gotten in. Well, not. I hadn't really done anything, but a lot of kids were screwing with me, and on a bus ride home once, they were just grilling me over and over about dumb shit. And this was also after Columbine happened, so tensions are high. Everybody's. And here's the other thing that a lot of people don't remember is that at that time, because of the media frenzy that happened after it, a lot of towns in America got to a point where the weird kid was getting like laser focused.
Oh, dude, what do you think happened to me in school?
Well, but that's kind of my point, is that when that happened, that caused me to have basically I did a song about it, but basically they petitioned to have me removed from the school, but then my mother took me out of the school preemptively, and then had to go through a lot of it wasn't legal, we never had to go to court as far as I know, but just a lot of different shit to basically get me back.
Who petitioned you? Was it the children or the teachers?
No, the parents of the kids mostly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No,
why? Because of the music you made?
Well, no, I didn't make music at that point. I was just a weird ass kid that liked weird stuff, and they were like, "Oh, we think that he's going to be the one." And because like I was saying, I was on a bus home, and these kids were grilling me about a bunch of shit, and I'm pretty sure that the words that set it off specifically were, "You guys are lucky I have self-control, because if I didn't, that Columbine shit would happen all over again." Saying that was enough for them to be like, "Oh, he's a problem, and we should
preemptively
basically we need to do something about him." And during that time period, my father had said something to me along the lines of if you just write a story, basically. And as the time went by, write a story became write a song, but it was kind of like, this is what you can do, because that's not anything illegal. It's not illegal to write a story, a dramatization about something like that. So
now I gotta ask, the Eminem song, because I'm pretty sure Marshall Mathers came out, that record came out in 2000 or 99, and Columbine happened in 99. So did it go Columbine, kicked out of school?
No, I was gonna say I don't remember the exact
timeline
way that it worked out, specifically, but independently these things all definitely happened, so depending on what the timeline may have been, it probably was between
sounds like it's all lending to each other,
more or less. I mean, that was kind of what it came down to by the end of it. But no, so the thing was, I never really did much about it until years later, being involved in the Juggalo community. There started to be this and also because of the internet, this growing presence of kids just doing it themselves, just making music and being part of it. And I actually ran into these kids through a gathering of the Juggalos message board, who were bringing me, basically we arranged that they were going to drive me to the gathering with them. And so that was what happened. I was living in Seaside Heights, New Jersey for that summer.
What year is this?
That was 2003.
Okay.
And so that was the year Wizard came out.
Oh yeah, I remember. I was working at McDonald's. I fucking mushrooms. It was great.
Green Book too, I think, came out that year.
It did. That was the first year I gave Twisted a try, because I thought they were ripoffs and it's corny.
Fair enough. I mean, I wasn't really as into it by that point because there was no Juggalo community where I was, but at the same time, it's it just, seeing all that happening and seeing other people doing it started to get me interested. And then, I think I wrote something for the MC contest, but then just ended up having fun, didn't want to wait in line to do it.
Yeah.
And then Underground Psychos next year, I think, is when that happened.
Yeah, 2004.
Because in 2004 was when I actually started to record shit. Because that was when I had graduated from high school. I recorded a song at school once called Welcome to Oblivion, which was basically about a guy dying and waking up in hell. But it was decent, but it was also not great. And the thing is that I just like, at the time, I just wanted to do it. Like I just, this is fun. I want to.
So how old were you? What year?
That would have been. I would have been 18, I think.
And it was just Max.
Yeah, just me.
Yeah, like that was just you just dropped a song.
Oh well,
like,
basically, I didn't have a rap name
at all.
But when I was at school,
how did you drop it? SoundClick?
I didn't drop anything. I just made the song and never got. Nobody will probably ever hear this song.
Okay.
Unless the one kid that I made it with still has it on a computer somewhere, but he probably doesn't.
Yeah.
In any case, that was. Oh geez, crack in the neck. That was kind of where it started. I also got a lot of shit for being a juggalo in school too. So I mean, there was that. Mm-hmm. But after that, and I go to basically again, I graduate high school, meet Low Key,
yeah.
and right after that is when I start recording songs. And then one of the first songs that I do, Come and Get Me, which I got, it was just this random fucking, like on Kazaa or LimeWire, you just type in hip hop beat or instrumental.
I remember doing it.
It was one of the first ones that was out there. Made the song, and then these people that I knew in the early days of internet radio had this shit called, it was called Hatchet Radio. And so for Hatchet Radio, when Hell's Pit came out, and that's 2004, this was after The Gathering, my song, they decided to play in between the tracks on Hell's Pit. And so apparently during that time when that happened, Violent J was listening. And so he heard my shit and liked it. And like basically through some people who knew me on internet message boards and shit, like the Gathering board and whatnot, he got in touch with me, and then we like had a couple of phone conversations, and then basically they arranged to fly me out to Michigan to like meet Jay, re-record this song. And I mean, what it ended up coming down to...
Which song was it?
Come and Get Me.
Yeah.
So the reality of all that basically is that they were scouting me to figure out, is this somebody that we want to fucking work with long term? And I think that I was too young, too starstruck, and didn't know enough about what was really going on to have like... it wouldn't have been a good fit because I wasn't like... I hadn't seen enough of the real world yet. I was a 19-year-old
19,
kid.
yeah.
I was 19 years old, fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
Private school, no less.
Yeah.
And these are dudes that grew up on the streets of Detroit and shit.
Yeah.
I hadn't lived any real life to be able to like relate to them. You know what I mean? So I can understand why it didn't work out. It makes sense to me. But that situation was just like, think about it. I had been a juggalo since I was 13 years old, basically. Once I found the music, I was super into it. I didn't super claim juggalo until I started going to shows, and that's when I really started meeting people. Once I saw Hatchet Rising in New York is where I started meeting more people in my local area.
Yeah.
So that helped. But beyond that, it was just like part of what was going on. I mean, it was always adjacent to whatever I was doing because everything I do, I'm a juggalo, so it's just how it went down. But at the same time, as I came out of high school and then Violent J decides that he thinks my music is good and that he's curious to maybe try to do something different or try to do something, you know what I mean? That was crazy to me. I never would have imagined that something like that could happen. And so once something like that does happen, it's like, oh, well, maybe there is something to like actually pursuing this. Mm-hmm. And I started to kind of go in that direction, but you know,
and isn't he the one who gave you the spelling of
well,
your
yeah,
name?
no, he was the one who came up with the name Madd Maxxx because initially I was going by Darkness, where it was spelled weird, like big D, A, R, big K, big N, E, S, big S. Yeah, it looked silly. But one way or another, when I met him, he was like, yeah.
So, Come At Me was...
Come and Get Me.
Come and Get Me was...
That was the first... It ended up being the first track on In the Absence of Sanity.
I remember that. But so, like, when it was spun on Hatchet Radio, what'd they say? Now coming up is Darkness, Come and Get Me?
Well, I'm pretty sure. I would assume something like that.
Okay.
I don't think it's recorded. But
the darknesses.
Yeah, right. My friends, some of my friends used to mess with me about that stuff. God, big lip beast.
Oh my God.
Darkness.
Madd Maxxx is the darkness, ladies and gentlemen. Rebrand 2021.
Yeah, right. But
the darkness.
So Jay basically is like, hey, a little bit of staleness for you. If you're going to work with us, then you're not going to be able to use this name Madd Maxxx because that is a name that's pretty much, or not Madd Maxxx, what am I? I'm fucking retarded. They said you can't use darkness because that, I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of the heart. So that band was actually kind of popping at that point.
I remember.
And he was like, oh yeah, it's going to be a website issue, which realistically I think he just didn't want to be a dick and say your name is kind of hackneyed.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. In any case, he came up with the name Madd Maxxx, suggested it to me. I was like, I mean, that's kind of been like a semi-nickname of mine since I was young, so it's like, that's nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
And so decide to start doing it that way, but also remember, having just left fucking, or not having just left, but having just worked with Low Key, and then this shit happens, everybody is kind of like, oh, well, maybe let's do this for real. Mm-hmm. Like, Low Key had already been doing stuff with Temple Rain in the Philly area, doing shows and shit. Mm-hmm. And so as time went by, we start to work together, and again, the internet is starting to become a thing. So on the horrorcore.com forums was where we started to really like promote the music, let people know we were there, talk shop about all the horrorcore music that we listen to and that we like. And there was other underground horrorcore at the time. It was just more quantified as like rap because horrorcore didn't really exist yet. Mm-hmm. The horrorcore forums may even have been a big part of helping to brand that music horrorcore. You know what I mean? So the point being, that was basically how I found my way into music. And then years go by, I'm living in Philly, making music with Loke, and things are like okay, but then it gets to a point where I feel like I deserve a little bit more recognition, or at least a little bit more help in trying to get music out. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, it just kind of like that was how there ended up being a rift between me and all the people in Mission, in fact. But then that ended up going away after time. And so basically I ended up in Massachusetts because I was working with this dude, DeVille, who goes by Yaya the Gremlin.
Wait a minute, DeVille is still out there?
I would assume so.
As Yaya the Gremlin?
I'm pretty sure.
Yaya the fucking Gremlin.
You'd have to check. If you wouldn't believe what I told you about what it looks like, you'd have to see it for yourself.
DeVille Debris.
But so
baby.
This is. So this is my thing is I'm not going to bother taking my time to disparage him. It's not worth it to me. But
hey,
so that whole situation just went badly.
Yeah.
It went badly. So in the midst of all that, I'm living in Jersey City. I was going to school, and I also just kind of felt like shit was petering out. Like nothing was really going on. I didn't feel like nothing was happening. And then Beastmaster.
What year was this? 2008?
This is 2008, the very end of 2008.
Yeah.
Beastmaster I started talking to online. And then I can't remember if I did the song first and then went out, or I went out and then did the song. But the first track I ever did was this track, just me and Jay, Reject. And the verse is nasty. You already know what it is. I'm down for the cause. I got a sharp set of claws and I'm ready to brawl. Strong jaws that can definitely maul. Motherfuckers get the chainsaws when they getting involved with dirty Jersey and murder mass. I'll rob you rocking a Pee Wee Herman mask. Fuck what you think. I swerve and blast and serve motherfuckers heat, burning purple hash. Like the verse was dope. I liked it a lot.
I vaguely remember that.
And I'm trying to think. There was the very last line on that. It's like, if I know that you're like, oh, what the fuck did he say? It's like, if you know that I'm coming, make sure your door's locked. I'll snatch your soul out your neck like a warlock. It's Madd Maxximilian Shrek. The Count Orlock of rap, leaving blood spatter patterns like Rorschach. That's nasty. I don't give a fuck. I'm not even trying to be like Max is dope and whatever, but come on. Lyrically, that's fucking wild. Yeah. And I wrote that shit like 12 years ago, something like that.
Nah, it's a fire verse.
But no, one way or another, the Beastmaster pays for the trip, and pays me when I get there to come and play. Pretty much one of the first paid shows I ever did. And so I come out here.
Tammany Hall?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And then, so have a good time hanging out with Tracy and Cracker and all of them. And Mark After Dark, the kid that ended up being with me on stage at the Gathering, playing the drums and shit.
Bongos, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. He ended up saying to me, like, offhandedly, because I was like, oh, man, I really like it out here. He's like, oh, no shit, man, maybe that's something to think about. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I will. And then I ended up just coming out here. And then the whole Hightown experience is like, we can save that whole story for another day. Because the Hightown story, I feel like, ran so concurrently with the USR story, you know what I mean, the origins of it, that I feel like it wouldn't do justice to try to go into it right now because there's so much nuance to it.
Yeah.
But me coming out to Massachusetts was basically through Hightown Records. I start working closely with them, and then Hightown, B Loco, Brandon, booking the shows that he was booking, and then that was how I ended up meeting Derek, and then all the different people on Underground Sound and throughout that contingent, as well as all the different ones like Dirty Berg, TNT, all of the Killfuck, all of those people.
Yeah.
But so that was how I ended up meeting him, and then we never worked directly together, but we were always like we hung out, we were friends, we would see each other when we could, and then we did sometimes collaborate on shows. He booked me a couple of times for some different things. That Necro show was probably the most notable one.
Yeah,
that was a really big show.
Yeah.
And just so generally speaking, as the time went by, Hightown and Underground Sound Records both kind of collapsed. They did neither one sustained.
No.
And so now we kind of are working together, not as much on music we do separately. We will collaborate, but we have our own independent operations. But then we're also doing this now because, again, people have been telling me forever, I can talk and, we should do a podcast and shit. And you're somebody that I've not only known for a long time, but has also been there, boots on the ground, on the underground, and really knows how shit goes down out here.
Yeah.
So that feels like a pretty good intro, you know what I mean? You give a little bit of depth as time goes by. We can also open up the floor. People want to know stuff specifically about different things.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, the one thing that I'd say that combines us all, even including the homie, the Lord of the Loud Packs, because he's not a juggalo. I think we can pretty clearly say that.
Nope.
But but at the same time, would you consider yourself a technician or just a tech fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So at that point, I mean, because to me, I feel like these designations as a fan are important. Because not every, that was something that I feel like started to become more popular as the time went by, because the Dead had Deadheads, but then as the years went,
The
go on.
Kiss Army.
The Kiss Army, well, and
Nice fans.
But that's kind of what I'm saying.
I feel like that is a great example where you could, parallel, a contrived, corporate kind of effort, you're the Kiss Army if you buy a patch, you know what I mean?
It's so funny when you're...
But a Deadhead was more organic. Or CIA plot, if you want.
Right. No, maybe, I was going to say, maybe we can have that conversation another day.
You want to go on Deadheads.
You want to know what, though?
Fire acid. Shout out to the Deadheads.
Yeah, right. So, the thing is that after them, though, you have other groups that give their fan base a name, they call their fans a certain thing.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Juggalos, that was kind of an early adoption of something like that. And then Lady Gaga does Monsters and or that's what she calls her fans.
Oh yeah, but
shit like that. So
it's definitely.
But the idea of
Juggalo is so unique because it was such an organic thing that it's. You can skew her for being super corporate, kind of monetized and pitched like that. But
moments.
At its essence, they don't do crazy copyright strikes towards people who try to capitalize off of that name, and that's cool. If Kiss Army had a bunch of people running around we're selling Kiss Army fucking prints. You know what I mean?
I feel like it kind of... Well, it's it's funny because...
Not on tour. The golden rule back in the day for the people who weren't around back in the day was if you were selling bootleg merch in the lot, then it was on. You know what I mean? Bill would come out and fucking rip the shit out of your hand.
He always wanted an excuse to beat somebody's ass.
But as far as it's almost encouraging, which is really cool, and one of the things I always loved about it. It's regardless if it's because they just realize that they being Psychopathic Records, that the more people are inclined to have free range usage of their intellectual properties, that will bring more people in. But I think there's a genuine appreciation and interest as well.
I think that's
why we're still talking about it 20 years fucking later, bro.
You want to know what, man? I think
sitting there around a microphone.
I think it has more to do with, because you want to know what. The metaphor or the correlation that I come to now for whatever reason is the idea of America was created under an ideal or for an ideal. And then as the years have gone by, it's evolved and it's become a lot of different things. But it's supposed to mean this one specific thing.
Yeah.
But it has gotten so far away from what it originally was that now it's hard to quantify exactly what supporting that thing is supposed to be. Because now, if you really look at the way the actual Juggalo community looks, like, all I have to say is when the Black Lives Matter shit happened, bro, ICP posts a picture that's showing them with the Carnival of Carnage clown ripping apart a fucking Stars and Bars with it on fire, and they're like, fuck your rebel flag on the back. And there were literally juggalos telling them, why would you get political?
Yeah, that's insane.
First of all, they're not even just in the fact that they always decried racism, because they did in every album and every project they ever did.
Yeah.
But beyond that, even on Carnival of Carnage, what's the very last track on that album? Do you remember?
Taste, motherfucker.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm just making sure.
Just a little taste. Just a little.
But
taste.
that whole track is super political.
From the intro to the end, it's all one joke.
Look, you're not wrong, but I think that there was
aneurysm on the microphone.
No, but I think
Carnival of Carnage was a whole political allegory about how the fucking inner city is bleeding into the suburbs.
You know what? How's this?
I mean?
You're not wrong, but the only difference, the only thing that I would say is that and obviously that's why they did it with Sanity and Insanity.
Yeah.
But the first half of the album was much more like whimsical. Like, that was the one that had songs like The Juggler and Redneck Ho and First Day Out and shit. But then, because you want to know what, you are right. Songs like Fuck Your Rebel Flag and then Never Had It Made.
Ghetto Freak Show.
Ghetto Freak Show to me, I feel like was kind of same thing with Guts on the Ceiling. It was like, because, I mean, number one, I feel like Guts on the Ceiling was just some shit that he thought would be a cool idea.
Hey, man, you never guess what's up. My motherfucking head blew up.
If you come across a spine, best believe it's mine. Oh, my God. No, that's... trying to get... It's like, no, my chin is being sat upon by a pit bull dog. He's sitting on my chin
like a frog on a log.
Throwbone, trying to distract. Because I want my chinny chin back. Well, because this is my point.
But, this is why they're so dope, is because it's 90% message, and it's 90%...
90% nonsense.
90% nonsense, 10%
Oh my
message.
God. If ICP was 90% message, we're all fucking doomed. Oh my God. That would be fucking terrifying.
The message is dick jokes and soda.
The message is the fucking, like, oh my God. I can't even think of something clever. That's just insanity. Like, well, no, but this is what I mean. And here's the other part. The reason why I even would say that is just because the more that you get into it, every single album had very, very, very strong political overtones.
Oh, yeah. Every single one.
So at that point, the fact that there are juggalos that are like Southern and shit on some like, oh, don't, why would you talk, it's heritage and not hate and that whole bullshit argument. Like,
it goes in a good direction too, Max, though, because think about how many trans juggalos and shit there are. And like back in the day, bro, it was literally the most like
I will say We Belong did kind of
blah 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 blah. It really was, Like,
well, you want to know what?
Not like in a disparaging way. It's just that like the hard F word was thrown around a lot.
Honestly,
you know what I mean? Like,
based on my experiences of how these people had been, to me, it feels more along the lines of these men were all raised in a world where toxic masculinity was the way, first of all. And second of all, a lot of them probably fairly dysfunctional households. Like Joe Bruce's mother, bless her heart, she seems like a very nice, decent woman. But it also seems like she grew like Joe and Rob were raised in a pretty negative environment as far as not having enough money, not having enough support, not having any access to mental health, anything.
I'm not disparaging. They're just using the vernacular of the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like saying that shit. But what I'm trying to say is like in the scene, from being pretty homophobic jokes, just being like joking around, to like a big section of gay juggalos being like openly like gay and trans, like that's That's pretty cool.
No, you are right.
Like, yeah, there's racist juggalos, but like then there's also like
what I would.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, I don't disagree with that.
It expanded in both directions.
Well, no, you're absolutely
more
right.
retarded fucking meth racist motherfuckers, definitely. You know, but like
this
also,
this is my point. Is that first of all, that to me has always embodied the dichotomy that is ICP, juggalos, juggaloism, and all that shit. Is the fact of like. A wicked clown, to me, has always been a very interesting dichotomy because a clown only exists to make children and sick people laugh, basically. Mm-hmm. So how do you find wickedness in that? Oh, well, the fact that life sucks sometimes and you have to find a way to laugh through it. So the idea of a wicked clown, there's always been these two crazy extremes where sometimes they're wicked, sometimes they're clowns, but all the time they're authentic. And to me, the idea of It's beautiful to me where the dichotomy is some of the most intelligent, thoughtful, wise, thought-provoking, creative, like just some of the greatest people I've ever known in my life are juggalos through and through. However, flip side, some of the most garbage humans I've ever met in my life, many of them in fact, are also juggalos. Like a lot of the people that I've met that are some of the shittiest I've ever known are juggalos, and I also know some really shitty people not through juggalos and shit. So it's like the fact that it goes to both sides, I've always thought is like it really helps to embody what it is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it became what it is, and then it spreads throughout the country in a way where, like, there was a resurgence between, it was basically after ICP dropped the 6th. Mm-hmm. After that happened, it felt like a lot of their momentum went away. And so because of that, they kind of have this moment where, like, people are... They want something. They want more. And that's also where, like, Underground Psychos happens right around then, which is where Boondocks gets picked up around that time. That was when I got flown out because they were obviously scouting me for, like, that kind of shit. I just didn't have enough material at the time to really submit. So, excuse me. But just, like, from that point on was really when the organic grassroots underground really started to happen.
Oh, 100%.
Because that was when people started to realize, like, oh, well, fuck, ICP is like... Because after the 6th came out, I don't remember how long it was before they just, like, started doing shows again. Because it was at least some time. But...
They cooled off. Then they did the Hell's Pit tour, and then if you remember,
they did the
infamous New Year's Day post on 2005 when Jay was like, "Oh, we're doing solo albums, no face paint, fucking."
I do not. I vaguely recall that. I don't specifically, but I do vaguely recall.
He's like, "Yo." It was right around when JJ was born, because he was like, "I'm a father now." Showed a picture of him. He's like, "And we're gonna do a crazy this year, like solo albums, no face paint, like all this shit." And then like 2 days later, it was like, "Whoops, we tricked you. Just fucking around. Like we're gonna Shaggy's got a solo tour, but we're not done.
I think
one of the I'll have face paint."
I think one of the things
that's why I love it, because it just shows how like it's run by these crazy very human motherfuckers.
I think that was like the biggest change that happened throughout the course of finding out about the stuff and then getting more involved in it was the idea of basically. They went from being the Dark Carnival, like the actual Dark Carnival, to being just a record label. Mm. And at that point, a lot of the fans feel so disenfranchised. They're like, oh, well, I have to go out and make my own way, my own feeling. I have to recapture that shit that I had. Yeah. And that was when they started to do that. And that was also not long after that is when Tunnel Runners happened. And so with that being the case... They were like, Psychopathic was trying to kind of dip their toe in the underground and be like, yeah, we got love. But then as the years go by, when tours happen, it was definitely some time before they actually started like sourcing local acts for openers like that.
Yeah, you know I don't know if there's anybody out there, because it was a long time ago. Underground Psychos was a contest that Psychopathic Records ran back in the day, before even... social media, like really, it was like MySpace.
Oh yeah, just websites basically.
It was pretty. Yeah, well, I don't even think MySpace was out yet, and you had to. They basically put out an open submission type contest, and that's how Axe Murder Boys, one of their former acts, was discovered, was through this contest. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. Right, that's when it really went grassroots, like you're talking about, and that was when it kind of got that whole approach is what yanked down the curtain. You know what I mean? Because now it's like, oh, you need us to make you happen. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't even know how much of it that it was that. I think it also had a lot to do with the fact of people had always kind of wanted to be involved, but ICP was also for a good amount of time, like they were like rock band famous, you know what I mean? Rappers started to become famous in a way where it was like no one had ever seen nothing like that with Biggie and Pac and all that. But like following hair metal and all that, when like metal was kind of like becoming this different thing, Psychopathic was definitely, because something a lot of people forget is that the early tours were all metal tours.
Oh yeah,
so
bro, you buy ICP t-shirts out of Circus Magazine and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Parade.
Like, yeah, Hit Parade, all that shit. You know.
I remember it was AP Alternative Press.
Yeah,
did the one where if you got all 4 covers, which is really funny to me
it's
because
them like half in the
that was them. I bet that was, if that wasn't their idea, I would be shocked just because they did that. I remember having that poster in my room in high school.
Yeah.
And so that means that they did that before, or no, that means they did that after Malenko came out.
That was around Bizarre, I'm pretty sure.
Well, but so this is my point, though, is just the fact that buy all 4 covers of the album, buy all 4 covers of this magazine, and you can get ICP's face, like uncovered, unpainted. So the idea of having done that, I firmly believe that was ICP's idea, because it was ICP's idea
for Ray Day.
Well, not just for Ray Day, but for like buying all 4 colors of the fucking Malenko, having 4 different colors. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that was always something that they were really like good with, was marketing and shit.
Oh yeah.
So at that point, it's just with what horrorcore has come to now. It's funny how everything came full circle. Where like in 2008 until let's say like 2010, 2011, like there was, and the peak was 2009 for sure. But it was just like this time where we were, for whatever reason, nobody had kids yet. We were old enough to party, but we were young enough to not have a ton of responsibilities yet, most of us. Mm-hmm. And we were like, for whatever reason, all these things just worked out. Everybody was trying to do it at the same time. So that was why Tammany Hall and the Palladium turned into these places where, like, you know, these underground acts can actually like start to, you know, build a fan base. Which the fact that it was crazy seeing the transition, though, where every Psychopathic show, every Twisted, every ICP, Palladium, sold out, packed to the gills.
Yeah.
Like, packed so much that you can barely walk. Now, the last few times we go see Twisted, I can see the floor.
Yeah.
When I walk up to that's crazy enough. But even ICP, they don't pack the house like they used to.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
It is crazy to see the transition, but that's also like why I feel like it's important for the underground, which existed.
Well, guys like Axe, man. Even if they didn't have like shout out to the Ala Zuliloo.
Oh yeah,
if they didn't
love those guys.
If they didn't get signed to MNE, it wouldn't even matter because they're already on the way to creating their own scene
in a crazy way. And that's kind of what I mean. Disrupting that space is difficult.
Yeah,
like getting accepted by that group can be really tough because we've always had this like massive, insane emphasis on realness to the point where, like, I can remember at one of the gatherings where Bushwick Bill played, he tried to bring up some crew of people that he was cool with. One of the dudes had like red and black face paint and braids and shit, and then like the whole crowd booed him. Like, we don't fucking care that Bushwick Bill brought you on. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like, and so because of that, it also ushers in this where, like, some of the people in the underground that do get some success here, they act like their shit don't stink because they're like, oh, we impressed the Juggalos.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, you did. Uh-huh. But A, those are your people, so it's not the craziest thing in the world. And B, who else have you impressed?
Yeah.
So that becomes another aspect to it. But I definitely think the underground it's very exciting because so many people are still working at it and still doing it in different parts of the country that there really is a potential for like a resurgence as time goes by, if ever a day comes where like people are interested in scary shit year round.
Oh yeah, you got guys like Donnie Menace and like all the LSP cats. They they're just as important, keeping this shit alive and adding that extra, dimension to this shit.
So going forward, we probably will bring some of them in to, get some exclusive perspectives on things. Maybe they'll play some songs for us that are, on the way or, unreleased or whatever. See what we can do. Know a lot of these guys, having worked with them for such a long time. So that is definitely, part of the plans going forward. But the underground, generally speaking, that is our lifeblood. That's how we all know each other. So that, I figured we would take a little bit of time to kind of expound upon what it's been for us, what it means to us. And we'll go into this stuff in deeper detail as the episodes go on. But I feel like that's probably a pretty good baseline layer as far as... underground horrorcore rap and shit is concerned. We can also, I'm definitely planning this for a later episode, is doing a more in-depth horrorcore history as far as, like, some real research as far as some of the...
from Gangsta Nip to fucking Suicide Boys. We'll do it all.
Exactly. Take it all the way back to, like, the tragic operas and shit.
Oh, you know Jesus what I mean? Christ. All right.
Horrorcore.
All the way.
Hey, scary music. That's the idea, man. That is the idea.
All right.